Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Please hit the like and subscribe and share because it really helps. We're going to do Brothers Grimm tales now, and we're going to do Rapunzel first. So this will be a different Rapunzel to what you know of course. There once was a man and his wife who had long wished in vain for a child. When at last they had reason to hope that heaven would grant their wish, there was a little window at the back of their house, which overlooked a beautiful garden full of lovely flowers and shrubs. It was, however, surrounded by a high wall, and nobody dared to enter it, because it belonged to a powerful witch, who was feared by everybody. One day, the woman, standing at this window and looking into the garden, saw a bed planted with beautiful rampion, and she looked at it so fresh and green, it made her long to eat some. This longing increased every day, and as she knew it could never be satisfied, she began to look pale and miserable and pine away. Then her husband was alarmed and said, "What ails you, my dear wife?" "Alas," she answers, "if I cannot get any of the rampion from the garden behind our house to eat, I shall die." Her husband, who loved her, thought, "Before you let your wife die, you must fetch her some of that rampion, cost what it may be." So in the twilight he climbed over the wall into the witch's garden, hastily picked a handful of rampion, and took it back to his wife. She immediately dressed it and ate it up eagerly. It was so very, very nice that the next day, her longing increased threefold. She could have no peace unless her husband fetched her some more. So in the twilight, he set out again. But when he got over the wall, he was terrified to see the witch before him. "How dare you come into my garden like a thief and steal my rampion?" she said, with an angry look. "It shall be the worse for you." "Alas," he answered, "be merciful to me. I am only here from necessity. My wife sees your rampion from the window, and she has such a longing for it that she would die if she could not get some of it." The anger of the witch abated, and she said to him, "If it is as you say, I will allow you to take away with you as much rampion as you like, but on one condition. You must give me the child which your wife is about to bring into the world. I will care for it like a mother, and all will be well with it." In his fear, the man consented to everything, and when the baby was born, the witch appeared, gave it the name of Rapunzel Rampion, and took it away with her. Rapunzel was the most beautiful child under the sun. When she was 12 years old, the witch shut her up in the tower which stood in the wood. It had neither staircase nor doors, and only a little window quite high up in the wall. When the witch wanted to enter the tower, she stood at the foot of it and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel had splendid long hair, as fine as spun gold, and as soon as she heard the voice of the witch, she unfastened her plaits and twisted them round a hook to the window. They fell 20 ells downward, and the witch climbed up by them. It happened a couple of years later that the king's son rode through the forest, and came close to the tower. From thence he heard a song so lovely that he stopped to listen. It was Rapunzel, who in her loneliness made her sweet voice resound to pass away the time. The king's son wanted to join her, and he sought for the door of the tower, but there was none to find. He rode home, but the song had touched his heart so deeply that he went into the forest every day to listen to it. Once, when he was hidden behind a tree, he saw a witch come to the tower and call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Then, obviously, Rapunzel lowered her plaits of hair, and the witch would climb up to her. If that is the ladder by which one ascends, he thought, I will try my luck myself. The next day, when it began to grow dark, he went to the tower and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The hair fell down at once, and the king's son climbed up by it. At first, Rapunzel was terrified, for she had never set eyes on a man before. But the king's son talked to her kindly, and told her that his heart had been deeply touched by her song, that he had had no peace, and he was obliged to see her. Then Rapunzel lost her fear, and when he asked if she could, of course, have him for a husband, and she saw that he was young and handsome, she thought, he will love me better than my old mother Gothel. So she said, yes, and laid her hand in his. She said, I will gladly go with you, but I do not know how I am to get down from this tower. When you come, will you bring me a skin of silk with you every single time? I will twist it into a ladder, and when it is long enough, I will descend by it, and you can take me away with you on your horse. She arranged with him that he should come and see her every morning, for the old witch came in the daytime. The witch discovered nothing, till suddenly Rapunzel said to her, Tell me, Mother Gothel, how can it be that you are so much heavier to draw up than the young prince who will be here before long? Oh, you wicked child, what did you say? I thought I had separated you from all the world, and yet you have deceived me. In her rage, she seized Rapunzel's beautiful hair, twisted it twice around her left hand, snatched up a pair of shears and cut off the plaits, which fell to the ground. She was so merciless that she took poor Rapunzel away into the wilderness, where she forced her to live in the greatest grief and misery. In the evening of the day on which she had been banished, of course, the witch fastened the plaits which she had cut off and put them to the hook by the window. And when the prince came up and called, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, she lowered the hair. The prince climbed up, but there, of course, he did not find his beloved Rapunzel, but the witch, who looked at him with angry and wicked eyes. Ah, she cried mockingly, you have come to fetch your lady love, but the pretty bird is no longer in her nest, and she can sing no more. For the cat has seized her, and it will scratch your own eyes out too. Rapunzel is lost to you. You will never see her again. The prince was beside himself with grief, and in his dismay, he sprang out of the window. He was not killed, but his eyes were scratched out by the thorns among which he fell. He did wander about blind in the wood, and nothing but roots did he eat, and berries of the odd one that he found. He did nothing but weep, and he was so distraught over the loss of his beloved wife, Rapunzel. In this way, he wandered about for some years, till at last he reached the wilderness where Rapunzel had been living in her great poverty, with the twins who had been born to her, a boy and a girl. He heard a voice which seemed very familiar to him, and he went towards it. Rapunzel knew him at once, and fell weeping upon his neck. Two of her tears fell upon his eyes, and they were immediately quite clear and better, and he could actually see as well as ever he could before. He took her to his kingdom, where they were received with joy, and they lived long and happy together. The end. That's the Grimm's fairy tale kind of changed a bit because there's another story where they both die, but this one they don't. This one they live happily ever after, so it's nicer than the original anyway. Thanks for listening and many blessings.